The silence in the Bavarian Forest, a blanket of pines, firs and beeches stretching along the border of Germany and the Czech Republic, had never been so oppressive. It was a silence that did not signify peace, but absence, an acoustic anomaly that alerted Dr. Klaus Richter, a forest biologist from the University of Munich, with an unusually fine ear for the subtleties of the ecosystem. Give it a like, subscribe, and share. Let's begin. Dr. Richter had been tracking a rare subpopulation of boreal owls, using high-sensitivity recordings to capture their nocturnal calls. The date was October 31st, a date that in local folklore is associated with the thinning of the veil between worlds. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the hour known by the ancients as the dead point of night, Dr. Richter's sensors registered neither the owl's call nor the whisper of the wind through the canopy, nor even the distant hum of traffic on the federal highway. Only an absolute void of sound in a 500-square-meter strip of forest. Richter, a rigorous scientist skeptical of superstition, assumed a catastrophic equipment failure, perhaps electromagnetic interference of military origin. However, at dawn, he and his assistant, the young Dr. Lena Vogel, headed to the point of the anomaly. The area was located about 8 kilometers from the nearest village, in a densely wooded and difficult-to-access area. Upon approaching, Dr. Richter felt the first of the dissonances. The air, which should have been cool and humid, felt dry and static, with a slight smell of ozone and freshly baked earth. The birds, which normally teemed in that section of the forest, were absent. Upon reaching the center of the silent area, the pair stopped dead. It was not the lack of sound that shocked them, but the physical evidence of what had caused the disturbance. In the heart of the forest lay a perfect crater of approximately 12 meters in diameter. The soil, peat, and vegetation were not simply crushed or burned. They had been vaporized. There were no broken trees falling towards the center. The firs and pines surrounding the crater were cleanly cut at a uniform height of 1.5 meters, as if an invisible blade had passed at ground level. In the center of the crater, embedded in the bedrock, lay the object that had eliminated life and sound from the forest, a dark gray metallic disc, about 8 meters in diameter and approximately 2 meters high at its highest central point. It had no visible seams, rivets, doors, or windows. Its surface was smooth and light-absorbing, making it appear to float, or its outline to blur in the morning sun. Dr. Richter and Dr. Vogel, despite their scientific training, were breathless at the geometric impossibility of the object. It was clearly not of known terrestrial origin. Controlled panic took hold of them. Dr. Richter activated his emergency protocol, immediate report to the Federal Office of Civil Protection and Disaster Assistance, and, crucially, a strict prohibition to Dr. Vogel from taking photographs with her personal phone. Security and secrecy were paramount. In the following 12 hours, the quiet strip of the Bavarian Forest was transformed into a maximum security military exclusion zone. Bundeswehr, German armed forces helicopters flew over the area, establishing a 5-kilometer perimeter. The official story was quickly woven for the public, a top-secret military exercise involving experimental ammunition. Underground, an elite scientific response unit of 10 members, comprised of Max Planck physicists, Fraunhofer Institute metallurgists, and counterintelligence experts, gathered at the site. The first phase of the investigation focused on residual energy and material, the energetic signature, silence, and absence. Dr. Richter had not been wrong about the silence. The most shocking reading came from the vibration sensor equipment. The object was emitting an active field that cancelled sound and absorbed movement. Anti-acoustic field. The object was not merely silent. It was actively silencing its environment. The resonance frequency emitted by the object was an antiphase of audible and inaudible frequencies. This macro-scale noise cancellation technology was unprecedented in known physics. Light and energy. Absorption. The object did not emit heat, but absorbed electromagnetic radiation from its surroundings. Infrared cameras saw it as an energy black hole. The ship's metal was acting as a super absorber, which explained its opaque and blurred appearance. The consensus among the physicists was immediate. The object was not a science fiction spaceship. It was a piece of energy engineering operating on principles of applied quantum mechanics to interact with reality. The metallurgical analysis, the impossible material. The true shock came when a micro-drilled sample was taken from the disk's surface. The material defied all known categorization. Isotopic structure. The metal was mainly composed of silicon, nickel, and titanium, but its isotopes were distributed in a proportion that did not exist naturally in the solar system. It indicated a stellar origin or extreme artificial synthesis. The crystalline matrix. The molecular structure was a near-perfect crystalline matrix, organized in layers 1 atom thick, alternating between silicon and nickel. This nanostructure gave the material a tensile strength, breaking force, calculated as 1,000 times superior to the strongest known steel, and an elastic deformation capacity, resilience, that made it indestructible by terrestrial tools. Dr. Richter and the team realized they were not dealing with a simple plane crash. This was a capsule of technology at a level that made human advances look like the Stone Age. The hidden discovery, the message and coherence. After 4 days of surveillance and non-destructive testing, the event occurred that would shock all of Europe, although it was only witnessed by the 12 scientists and military personnel present. The object's activation and the frequency. At 2:59 in the morning on the 4th day, the object activated. There was no sound or light. The change was vibrational. Coherence. Pulse. The anti-acoustic field instantly shut off. In that same microsecond, the object emitted an energy pulse that was not radio frequency, but a coherence wave that passed through the Earth and the observers' bodies. The feeling. The 12 people present experienced the same phenomenon, an instant and profound calm, a mental clarity that dissolved all worry and fear, and an immense sense of connection and unity with the environment and among themselves. The scientists' brain frequencies, measured by the scanners in the command tent, instantly shifted from beta waves, alert and stress, to gamma waves, compassion and knowledge. Dr. Vogel, who was monitoring the equipment, exclaimed that her heart rate variability readings had gone from the chaotic variability of stress to perfect heart coherence, a state that yogic meditation masters take years to achieve. The object was forcing a higher state of consciousness onto its surroundings. Give it a like, subscribe, and share. The holographic projection and the language. After the pulse, a section of the disc subtly illuminated with an amber light, and a 3-dimensional projection emerged from the metal, hovering over the ship. The projection was a sequence of slowly rotating symbols. The linguists, led by Dr. Vogel, quickly determined it was not a written language. It was a mathematical and geometric matrix representing concepts. The message appeared to be a warning and an instruction. The warning, the equation of imbalance. One of the first sequences projected a 3-dimensional geometric model of the Earth. The model rapidly distorted at the North Pole and the equator, accompanied by an imbalance symbol that energy scientists related to an excess of carbon and a breakdown in the polar magnetic field. The message was unmistakable. Planet Earth was in catastrophic danger due to a self-imposed imbalance by its inhabitants. The instruction, the symbol of unification. The second sequence projected a single symbol. It was a 12-pointed star inscribed in a double torus. Dr. Richter recognized the geometry as an advanced model of plasma physics and fusion technology, but with a deeper meaning. The 12 points and the double torus represented the unification of the 12 main energy centers of the human body with the Earth's magnetic field. The message was interpreted by the scientists in their state of forced gamma consciousness, not with fear, but with a luminous urgency. The Earth's survival depended on humanity achieving internal biological and energetic coherence to repair the planetary imbalance. The disk was not a tool of war. It was a consciousness calibration mechanism. Europe's reaction and the secret. The object's activation, though invisible to most, had immediate continental consequences that could not be ignored by European governments. The global resonance effect. The coherence pulse, being a low-frequency wave, similar to the Schumann frequency, propagated through the bedrock of Central Europe. Public health anomalies. In the 4 hours following the pulse, hospitals and clinics in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland reported a drastic and statistically anomalous drop in panic attacks, anxiety episodes, and stress-related cardiac emergencies. The population, without knowing why, experienced a collective decrease in their cortisol and adrenaline levels. Social coherence. The stock markets in Frankfurt and London experienced unusual calm. Fewer traffic accidents and a drop in minor crime were reported in major cities, as if a wave of peace and clarity had passed over the collective consciousness. European governments, alerted by the biological and social anomalies, were forced to recognize that what was in the Bavarian Forest was not a military threat, but an event of non-terrestrial origin with the power to manipulate consciousness on a continental scale. The Suppression Consensus. The emergency meeting of the heads of state of the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization regarding the incident in Bavaria was one of the most tense in modern history. The final decision, driven by fear of global destabilization and the disruption of power structures, was the maximum suppression of the truth, even beyond what Germany had initially planned. The official version. The object would be labeled as a failed prototype of a high-tech climate observation satellite from a non-allied nation. The silence and absence of heat would be attributed to innovative stealth technology. The area would be kept in permanent isolation under the pretext of minor radioactive decontamination. The strategic objective. The true objective was to capture the coherence technology. The 12 scientists in the command tent, now in a state of amplified gamma consciousness, were reassigned to a joint European secret project to decode and replicate the disk's entropy cancellation and consciousness alignment technology. Dr. Richter and Dr. Vogel were appointed co-directors of Project Prometheus. Their new mission was not biology, but consciousness engineering. They had to swear absolute silence, knowing that the truth of what they had found beneath the pines of Bavaria, a warning and a technological key for the survival of civilization, could change the history of humanity, but that its premature release could cause the social collapse that the ship itself had warned about. The object remained there, silent and absorbent, in the center of the Bavarian Forest, a monument to human ignorance and an instrument of cosmic guidance, awaiting the day when humanity had enough internal coherence to understand its message without succumbing to fear. Its presence was a historical time bomb, with the potential to shock all of Europe and the entire world, with the secret that the true threat and the true solution were not in the stars, but in the imbalance of the human heart. Give it a like, subscribe, and share.